Live and in color. After a great weekend. Hope everybody had a great weekend. As good as mine. That started last Wednesday. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee for the next 2 hours, including Leaf Edition in this hour. Wherever you're watching and listening, Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus. We're glad you're aboard. And always text us at 590-590. We'll get as many thoughts and ideas, if they warrant, from our good man, Sammy. All right, boys.
I will say now, it's weird having you here.
After just 3 days?
Yeah, because I got used to I sat there for a little bit, Kyper, which was horrible. I did not like it. And then Gord Stellick sat there on Friday. So it's very, very weird.
I wish I could tell you that I tuned in and listened. I didn't.
I'd be disappointed if you did.
We survived.
I did manage to get a few people texting me, including either Wednesday or Thursday. You guys did a 2-hour special on the signing of Bobby McMahon,
Yeah, we
if
did.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I mean, we did
Sounds
dive
right,
in. We
right?
did dive into that a bit. Yeah.
Yes, I heard that. Outside of that, Doug McLean,
Yeah.
how dare him come on without me?
I know. It was like,
He had the confidence to do it because I feel the pressure of every Off the Rails Friday to carry him.
it's like when you go out to dinner with your buddy who has a girlfriend. The three you go out, you're kind of the third wheel, and then your buddy goes to the bathroom and you're left with his girlfriend. Like, hey, so you like stuff? Your thoughts on weather?
Gord Stella came in and did a great job.
Oh, yeah.
He did. I mean, Gord was
Hey, you know
wonderful,
what?
so-
I don't think the show sucked as bad as I thought it would.
Hey, that's an accurate line.
It's not like it was all hunky dory for me the last 3 or 4 days in Florida
No,
golfing.
was it hard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what the hardest part was?
Oh, boy.
Standing beside Henrik Lundqvist
Yeah.
for like 3 days.
Sure. That's tough.
You know what kind of
Your
You hung
pressure
with him
takes
for,
a
you hung with him
beating.
for 3 days?
Do you know the pressure to be beside a man that good looking?
Yeah. I mean, I don't experience that a lot with you, but I imagine in other places I would feel that way.
Other people experience that with me a lot, so I don't really know
I'm
that
not usually
feeling.
on that
but-
side of it, but
I'm like, when I found out he was going to be down there, and the Rangers were kind enough to bring half a dozen of us down there for Rangers in Tampa Bay.
yeah.
And there
Look
we
at the
are
crew.
on the crew. So myself, Stefan Matteau, Aaron Vorhos, Adam Graves, Dom Moore, Adam Hall. And look at me, right beside Lundqvist. Like I'm
Yeah.
facing it dead on, right?
God, he looks so good.
I brought down the baby blue leisure suit.
Nice. Love that one.
Yeah, Blue Industry.
And
My good friend Hershey set me up with that suit.
nice.
And I'm like, I'm going up against Lundqvist, man. Bring
He's
it.
just rocking a straight leather
Bring it.
jacket. And you played golf.
Played a couple days in Tampa and then moved over to Cabot Citrus Farms.
The new cabin.
Yeah, the new Cabot.
Baby.
Yeah.
It like off the charts.
You hit it good?
I shot a 81.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
With a triple bogey.
Oh,
Yes.
God, that's
Yeah, that's a good
infuriating.
start, though.
How early or late was the triple?
The triple came around 14.
So you were thinking about the score. You're like,
Yes.
Yeah,
I
got a
did.
number
I
going
made
there.
the worst mistake.
Oh,
I started thinking
I
par,
got this.
par,
Yeah, yeah.
and I come in with
never do that.
never do that.
Never do that.
Never do that.
Well, you didn't miss a ton on the hockey front outside of the McMahon signing. Nothing major broke or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, too, was everybody telling me that I was wrong and Sammy was right on the Bobby McMahon.
First time for everything.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah. Which
he
he's
right?
not right, and I'm not wrong.
JD made your
Okay.
case, though, that he would have, he left a lot of money on the table.
He signed a brutal contract for himself. Hey, awesome for the Leafs.
Yeah.
Awesome for Brad Treliving that you got a guy that you really are going to need down the stretch here and count on as a top 6 forward for the price of a fourth line player.
Yeah.
Like it's a steal.
They had to replace Holmberg on the first line in the third period last game. They put McMahon
Yeah.
on the top line. You got a guy you can use in the first line for 1.35.
The guy,
Maybe they should have given him $4 million.
the guy could have gone
Jesus.
minus 30 the rest of the season. They could have got swept in the first round 4 games, and I could have got him the contract still that he signed.
This is high praise for McMahon, though. It means you like the player.
Yes,
You think he's legit.
I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
thought he might have been their best player on Saturday.
Sunday, best player?
Saturday might have been the best
night?
player, yeah.
He blew by Marty Natchez, who might be the fastest guy in the league on one of those shorthanded rushes. It was impressive.
All right. Jake Gensel scores in a shootout to lift Hurricanes past the Toronto Maple Leafs in a game that should have cruised into a 4-2 final, maybe a 5-2 final with an empty netter. That wasn't the case in the last, minute and 32. Aho scores, and then 5.8 seconds.
Yeah.
Your thoughts are, JB?
Well, my thoughts are that I thought they were kind of unlucky. For the final goal that goes in is a seeing eye shot that goes through a ton of traffic and finds Aho's stick, who's just dusting himself off. A little bit unlucky. I did think that they really missed Marner and Yarncroc in those big moments. To defend a lead at the end of a game, you'd always have Mitch out there. Mm-hmm. But also just the one at the end of the third period or second period hurts too. You're up 3-0. You're going into the break. That one, you got Holmberg couldn't quite tie up a guy.
That made it 3-2. They were up 3-1, and then that made it 3-2 going into the third.
In the final minute, that's right. That one made it 3-2.
Game.
So, yeah, they had that game in their hand. I thought they were the better team. I thought they deserved to win. Little unlucky, but at the same time, had some trouble locking it down.
It felt like they were playing themselves. Yeah. Like a team that the Carolina, they played maybe their worst game they've played in a long time. They still found a way to win. They were turning the puck over. It just felt like they were playing the Leafs. Carolina turns the puck over a bunch, has the puck a bunch, ties it up late, and wins in overtime. It's like, what did they play themselves, the Leafs? It just really felt like a Leafy type game from the Canes, but I don't know. Just
even to touch
concerning trends.
Even to touch on your end of the second that you said that brought them back into the game. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember the first shift of the third period. They were pulling the puck off their goal line 15 seconds in. Yeah. That should have been a tie score at that point.
That one actually rolled off Samsonov's pad and turned. It changed direction.
You're not ready. Like you took a 3-0 lead, disappeared. You're in the dressing room. What is being said? Where's the focus? That you would come out in the first 20 seconds and give that scoring opportunity up. That's the one thing. Yeah. Like, I'm not so much, okay, you blew a lead, okay, we can make as big of a mountain out of that as you want. I don't think
that was much.
But that, to me, suggests that something's wrong or something just isn't nailed down.
Yeah.
Between the second and third.
You thought that was a bad scoring chance, that first shift? I thought it was kind of a random scramble that just kind of bounced around and Samsonov should have been better on.
Yeah. No, I just think collectively that it's just too loose for me. Yeah. Coming off what should have been a real, hey, boys, we need a solid 20 here to bring this thing home.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. The start of that then and the ends of the periods, it didn't feel like a complete focus necessarily, but they did, carry the play, expected goal, shots, chances, all those sort of things. 4 even strength goals. It was pretty good. Their PK stunk too. And I think the PK was another important piece of this where they've been really bad.
Well, that's the biggest, is the special teams.
Yeah.
Because they were 0 for 4 on the power play again.
Too, yeah.
And they got a 4-on-3 in overtime where they really don't get much of a scoring chance. It doesn't look great. They're trying 2 D-men on the power play.
That was.
It's just, it feels like they're really searching. And this is a thing that when spring comes, it really starts to struggle.
They were 50% in February.
They're 5% or below that because they went 0 for 4. They were 5% going into the game.
Yeah.
When spring starts, it's when the power play really starts to go to sleep, and it's happening again. And that's terrifying. Because if you're going to beat Boston or Florida, you know what you're going to need is a good power play.
Yes.
So.
All right, where do you want to start on your Clippers?
Let's do the overview. Keith had to shuffle the lines up on Saturday night.
The overview of that.
Yeah.
Clip 1.
I thought we did a good job with it. I thought there's spots kind of on each line. You're trying to find some chemistry. You're kind of trying to rely on some of our more experienced guys to bring others along. It's a game that requires, 4 lines or certainly 3 for sure. And you can't. The pace of the play is high, and you can't get too concerned with chasing matchups and such. Especially with how they utilize the stall line. So you got to rely on guys. I thought we got good efforts from guys here tonight. Like I said, the result sucks. But I thought we stood in there. I thought we at times carried play. I thought we scored 4 goals. Very easily could have had 3 or 4 more against a team, again, that gives up almost nothing. So there's a lot of encouraging things here today if we look at it from a process point of view that we really like. But obviously there's these key moments in the game that we've got to do a better job of.
Okay. Before we get into any specifics here, there's a real sense here that he is staying away from the end result of just a blown lead that sends everybody home going, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that at this point of the season? If we were 5 games into the season, should there be more emphasis on, I don't care, no points for trying hard, no point. It's just result driven here. Is he too positive right now and not result focused for you?
Well, I think you're asking a very important question because it's going to be a question for this Leafs team the next month. Today's March 18th. The regular season ends April 18th, 1 month from now. The Leafs are the only team in the Eastern Conference with a point total in the 80s. They have 85 points. So the next closest they can catch is at 90, and below them is 78 or something like that. They're not catching anyone or getting caught. So the results of these games don't matter. Now. Great. I know. Terrible. It's a terrible way to play games.
We're right back into where we've been for 3 years here.
Right. Which is awful.
Well, I guess last year they were fighting for home ice, so it's a bit different last year, but we're pretty similar spot.
So I can see why Sheldon is saying, we liked our game. I'm not going to get caught up in the result. I actually thought we played a really good game. But it's a good question. If they have this attitude from here till playoffs, they're going to get rolled over in game 1 by teams that have been competing for results. So maybe, I don't know, is it too soon to start saying, hey, we're actually less concerned with process now. Process has got us this far. Now we want to see results?
Yeah, I would have liked to seen him light it up a little bit more through the media on the emphasis of the blown loss. Just a tad more, just to give him a sense of urgency here to say that a game isn't complete until it's 60 minutes of regulation, and it doesn't matter, all the positives that you see if you cannot close, if you cannot shut down. And I get it. I get the feeling of what are we playing for here, right? There's no home ice, and I don't want to make everybody hate me or get tired of me. I still got, what do we got, 16 games to go, 17 games to go?
Yep.
So I don't need to lean on them that much, but where's that fine line? Right?
Well, I mean, he's perhaps made that judgment, that it's not a month before and 16 games to go, that it's time to do that. Maybe we'll see him turn that on a little bit as we get going a little bit, but it is a worry right now that the Leafs, when Gord was on Friday, we were talking a lot about how teams that are in a dogfight tend to come out in the games that matter on the other side more prepared. So,
like a team like the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are right now, every game means a ton, and they're starting to get hot. Where they've
3 in a row.
won 3 in a row. I mean, would you see the shots on goal in that? It was like 50-14, the shots on goal for Florida in that game. But Vasilevsky plays great. They get the win 3 in a row. They beat the Rangers when Kyper was there. And it's like they're getting hot at the right time. They're having to play all these games, and the Leafs are once again playing meaningless ones. It's not a good trend.
Tampa Bay Thursday night, we're down 2-0 to the Rangers, and
you sent some texts.
Pretty much looking like that inconsistent Tampa Bay Lightning, and then it was like the Braden Point show and the Kucherov show, and these guys are like, oh, that's right, they're Stanley Cup champions too, right?
I mean, they're very likely, I guess right now it could be the Rangers or Boston or Florida that they're going to get, but any of those teams has to be like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Really?
Like, give me Detroit.
Yeah.
Give me Washington. Give me the Islanders.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get the Lightning.
Yeah.
So is this let's just wait for Mitch Marner to come back on the penalty kill?
Well, Yarncroc too, but no. So they had Dewar take Mitch's spot on the top pair with Kampf, and they were good as a pair. But I think there's still some learning going on with Edmondson and Lyubushkin now taking big minutes, and they hadn't been a part of the rotation previously. The one thing I will say with Edmondson and Lyubushkin in, the Leafs defended their blue line better than they have all year. Like, Carolina could not get in the zone. They entered the zone with 40% success rate, which is super low. Leafs were 70 the other way, which was what led to all the quick hit breakaways the other way.
70-40.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was the Leafs were really tight at the blue line, and that's something that maybe it is something Lyubushkin does well, and it's something that Edmondson does well. So it could be a bright spot for the Leafs' is blue line defense.
Okay, let's go to Sheldon Keefe on Connor Dewar.
I think he's doing a good job. I think, again, tonight, I think there's some great moments. I mean, that breakaway he had, shorthanded, the speed he pulls away. An opportunity, that's another key moment in the game, right? If I'm remembering correctly, like, that's one where we don't score on, and they score shortly after. Yeah, he's a smart player. He's a useful guy, especially right now with the penalty killers that we have out and the guys that have great defensive acumen, and that's kind of what they hang their hat on. I think he's right there for us. So the timing is right with Mitch and Ernie out for us to bring him aboard.
Minnesota didn't want that guy?
Yeah, I like him.
Me too.
Like, I think he seems like a useful player to me.
Yeah.
But
you got a first impression?
Yeah, listen, energy guy, not scared. Listen, the last few years, they've been okay with picking up some depth guys, bottom six guys that can come in. I was a big Lafferty fan with that trade.
Yeah.
I really liked them. And those guys, you need them. You absolutely need them.
Yeah.
Of course, they have to go hand in hand with your best players being your best players, but that's depth to go 2-3 into a series. And that
he's
includes,
a 24-year-old RFA, too.
You know, and last week in my article I wrote on Nick Robertson. Like, you need 23, 24 guys, 25 if you go back to the belief that it takes 8, 9 defensemen to win deep into the playoffs. Talking about a 25-man roster. Yeah. These guys all have to show up together. So he adds to that depth.
He does for sure. And he's going to help with the penalty kill, you would think, in theory.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it.
To me, if there's one thing that, if you're Sheldon Keefe, that you're sort of using as something you're playing for, it's like, let's get this power play to this percentage. Let's get this penalty kill to this percentage over the next stretch heading into playoffs. Like, let's really work to improve that, because, we can listen to Keefe talk about that. But to me, that's the biggest issue with special teams.
Yeah.
Like, I really think that they're a fine 5-on-5 team. Like, I think they have good players, goal scorers, whatever. But just going against those teams, like I said, that they're potentially going to play in the first round, they're going to get killed on special teams if they keep playing like this. Like, Florida and Boston
are 23rd in the league.
I think they're worse than that now, aren't they?
They're bottom third for sure.
PK for the Leafs is they're way down there.
Yeah,
24th.
24th.
Yeah.
They're going to get.
Is that the worst out of any playoff team?
Yes. Islanders are last in the league if they get in. But yes, currently they're the worst of a team in the playoffs.
Like, you guys know, it's going to kill them.
Well, I mean, you just know the way Pasta, and Marchand can do it, and the way you talk about Kucherov and Point and those guys and some of the elite teams.
Yeah.
You need to be on the ball. Let's listen to Sheldon talk about his penalty kill there. Clip 2, please.
I actually liked a lot of things about our penalty kill tonight. I mean, we killed the first 7 minutes of penalties we killed tonight. And we did a lot of really good things. We made a mistake with just a few seconds left at the end of the second period. And aside from that, our penalty killing was actually the best it's been in quite a while tonight against a very good power play. So the results look bad tonight. They scored another one 6-on-4. Our best penalty killer sitting in the penalty box. The other two are in a suit. So that's a tough one to get through, but you got to find a way. So the results look bad tonight, but I think when we watch it back in the process, there's going to be a lot of good things in there that we'll like. Like I said, we get through 7 minutes. Penalty late at the end of the second period, penalty late at the end of the third period. Those are the types of things you just can't take those penalties.
That penalty call at the end of the third was garbage, but anyway.
What?
Another.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Yeah.
Leafs fans were so bent out of shape about it.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting on the couch, real time, first look, I'm like, that's penalty.
Yeah.
I immediately, if I'm on a referee on the ice, I'm arms up. He got his stick into his hands. He pulled. Orlov sold it clearly. He went like this. He did the thing or whatever.
You're getting that call 1,000 out of 1,000 times when you're down 2 goals. And more importantly,
get your stick out of his hands.
He is.
Yeah,
he
you put it in the ref's hands at that point.
He is not. He's out of position.
Not moving his feet.
He's on the outside, giving Orlov the inside track to the middle of the ice.
Right.
And you put a stick on a guy, you're gonna get called.
Yeah, you do invite the ref the opportunity to make a call, whether it's right or wrong. I see it a bit differently,
the
but I
mistake
agree.
was you lost body position.
Exactly.
You're on the outside when you should be on the inside of a player like that.
Boy, the slow-mo, though, isn't pretty.
No,
on that one.
Not a penalty. But yes,
Well,
I know what you're saying. It looks like, but he doesn't do that.
Well,
That's not what
reaching out.
happened.
He's reaching out.
It's a perception thing. I get why you can see that. Yeah.
I would have called it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And then just hearing Sheldon talk about the PK, it would be really sufficient if you just said, hey, if it doesn't improve, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
We won't go anywhere. And just leave it at that. Put the onus on the players to understand the sense of urgency that this better get cleaned up or we're toast.
Yeah.
How early is too early to? It seems to me that your takeaways are about Keefe's commentary rather than the game.
Well, I don't know whether or not he just wants to kind of ease this into the last 15 games of the season.
Yeah.
Or not. Or he truly believes that it's just we're getting some bad bounces. Our best penalty killer's still not playing, and Mitch Marner, and it's going to get cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure it is unless there's maybe even some tactical changes. Maybe they need to be more aggressive. Maybe they're just too flat-footed for me. Maybe they're just not forcing the issue enough. But whatever it is, just don't sit there and say, hey, it'll get better.
What if
naturally.
In your guys' mind, what makes a good penalty kill philosophically?
To me, it's just, I think it's all personality, player personnel driven. I don't think that there's some super creative way to play it. I think it's stops and starts, like energy guys in lanes, like guys who
effort
guys who aren't thinking about other things than
just
the kill.
A really good stick, right? And it's an extension of taking lanes away.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not getting beat in front of the net. That's all.
I do think it is eye-opening that this relates to your question about the PK, that at the end of the game when they're trying to protect that lead, if there's a takeaway, the guys on the ice are Tavares, Nylander, and McMahon.
Yeah.
And they kind of got hung out there for a long shift. Like, that's our best option. I think it was the second best option because Camp was just on the bench waiting to go out or whatever. But that was concerning that, like, who's going to protect leads for this team?
We got an update on Mitch Marner?
You do have an update. Would you like to hear the setup?
I would love to hear it.
Clip 5, please, Derek.
He's not going to be coming on the trip with us. Just trying to get him to the point that he's comfortable throughout the week. So he's day to day away from being day to day.
Did he skate today?
He did not.
What the hell does that mean?
That's where the day to day. He's day to day on skating, and then we'll figure him out from there.
Was that a sign that something was wrong, or
no? It's just that it hasn't been responding the way that they had hoped. So just stepping back a little bit with it.
How about it's not nuclear codes? Can we maybe just hear what's wrong with them a little bit?
Well, seriously,
Day to day for
what do you
being day to day. What are we doing here?
What is it you need to hear then?
Yeah, he's sore and he's probably not going to play this week.
He skated on it the other day. He had a setback.
What's
he
that
can't
mean?
play this
What's
week.
the setback mean? Well, the euphemism. What happened? You roll it? Does it hurt? If you swell up the next day?
Yes. Whatever it is, it's not good enough to practice with the team.
Yeah.
So What are you playing for? Why are you going to rush him back?
No.
He's got a outside shot of playing against Edmonton Saturday. See how it feels in the next 3 days.
So your level of concern on this is not that high, Kippy.
Oh, no, I'd poop my pants if I was a Leaf fan right now.
Oh, like you mean in terms of knowing what you know? Or knowing...
No. I don't know anything more than you guys know.
Okay.
Like, come on.
I don't know.
He heard it.
Yeah.
It's not responding. This is Sheldon talking. This is not me.
But, like...
It's not good enough for him to go on the trip. And...
They need him. They need him.
What do you need him for right now?
Oh, well, for the greater being... No, you're 100% right.
Yeah, they've been real good the last 3 games, right?
Sit him as long as it needs.
For sure.
But here's the but part.
Mm-hmm.
Those things, they don't heal that easy. They don't.
What are those things? Ankle?
High ankle.
Okay.
They don't heal that well, that fast.
No, and it does leave you predisposed to further ankle injuries.
Look at Wall. How many games has he played in almost 3 months?
2. I can tell you it's 2. I can't believe he didn't play.
Right choice.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to see him getting some hockey games here. They gave him the Bruins last Saturday now. It's been 10 days. Did he hurt it or something? There's a reason. I don't know. If we were saying wins and losses don't matter, or weren't we supposed to be trading starts for these guys?
You can't tell Keith that wins and losses don't matter, right? Like, you know the way he coaches. To me, Samsonov was so good against the Flyers. You earned that start again.
Yeah. Everyone is way too excited about Ilya Samsonov. Everybody I talked to with the Leafs needs to settle down. He almost got back to an 890. Almost got back, but he didn't. He gives up 4 the other night. One hits him in the chest and he drops it.
The record's good.
Yeah, the record's good because the team is good. If Woll were in net, it'd be good too. Everyone's like, Woll hasn't won since he got back. They gave him Boston.
I do 2 shows. I do Leafs Talk with you, and then I was with Bunkus, and it's like he loved.
I know,
and
he
I do it
loves
with you, and it's like you guys are like, he stinks. It's great.
It's
I love having both sides.
Thing to be like, well, Sammy's back, isn't it? Happy? Everyone's happy. Sammy's back, aren't they? Yeah. Well, what's he been over the past? Everyone's like,
as far as I'm concerned, I told you guys a long time ago, Sammy can run it, and you still.
You're not sure who's starting.
No, that's not that you're not sure who's starting. You're not that confident still. Like, he can start game 1, but he's like 20 minutes away from getting pulled. He's 60 minutes away from not starting game 2.
For sure. I saw someone today, maybe it was Jonas Siegel or something, in the article today. It was like, seems like Samsonov is passing Woll for the number 1 job. If I'm Joseph Woll, I'm like, I was the best goalie. People were talking about me as like the next one till I hurt my ankle. I came back, got handed the Bruins twice in Boston on a Saturday, lost 4-1. But now I'm out?
If we're putting labels on it, which is stupid, but if we're doing those sports, Samsonov is 100% the starting goalie right now. No question.
What a stupid, arbitrary thing to decide.
Well, I mean, there's been starters and backups for pretty much the whole existence of the league.
Let's reframe that. Okay. If we just move the date.
Yeah.
He's right. Samsonov's starting.
Sure. They play tomorrow. He's definitely starting because Woll's off an ankle injury and there's only 2 games.
Like the playoffs started tomorrow?
Yes.
Oh, obviously.
If the pattern or the trend of the last 2 weeks follows, then they have no other choice but to put Samsonov to start game 1.
Of course. Yeah. Of course.
But maybe. But boy, I wouldn't be thrilled about it.
No.
The only thing is, though, at this point, for Joseph Woll to have a chance to play game 1.
He needs to play.
Not only does he need to play, he needs 3 out of 4.
Yes.
Right? He needs a week to 10 days of 7 out of 10 starts to gain that momentum and the confidence. If they switch on and off every other game here going in, it's going to be hard for Joseph Woll to convince people he's ready to carry it.
I actually wonder if they didn't look at the way the starts were falling and tried to help Woll out a little bit in that if it had been Boston, then you get Carolina, well, the other guy's getting all the dogs and all the wins, to kind of break the cycle and let Woll get Philly, a team that you should be able to beat.
What will be interesting is we know that for the most part, do we all believe that Joseph Woll will play tomorrow night in Philly?
Yeah. I mean, he's playing one of the next 2. So.
Yeah, I know. But
I do
Two
believe Philly. That
starts
way you
this
give
week.
Sammy to the Caps.
He gets 2 starts this week, 2
and
back-to-backs.
then, are you basing the next 2 starts from each of them the decider on who gets Edmonton Oilers at home Saturday night?
I think that's a great way to look at it because you know what? They play Sunday as well, and the Canes are no joke. So to me, whoever's going better gets the Saturday night game.
But does going better mean
Who has a better
it's,
game?
we're both equal as of now
100%.
for the next
50-50.
2 starts, or
No,
does
everyone
anything
gets one game. Whoever plays better gets Saturday.
I hate
anything
this
Sammy's
combo.
done in the last 2 weeks is
What's he
meaningless.
done? What's he done? He beat a few of the worst teams in the NHL.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. What's his
He
record?
beat
13
Montreal and Buffalo.
He was good in those games.
I'm just making
So was the
conversation.
team.
I'm not disagreeing with you here.
We're doing pitcher wins here
This is the reason that you're terrified about this conversation
because
going
they
into
don't
playoffs.
have a very good starting goal.
Because
Correct.
you can convince yourself, if we're sitting here, if you're Brendan Shanahan, you're Brad Living, I'm Sheldon Keefe, we could sit in this conversation and convince yourself of whoever starts game 1.
For sure.
Which, to me, I like the days of the starting goalie, where you knew who your goalie was, and it's like, oh, you know who's starting tonight? The goalie. The
Well,
goalie who
what
we
do
have.
you do when you don't have one? Do you pretend to have one? Is that a better decision?
To me, you pick one and you kind of ride with it until, I guess, game 2 of the playoffs, and you're like, who are we going to
And so
start?
Woll against Boston the last 2 days has
but
been
to
enough
me-
for you to disqualify him as the guy.
No, but I think Sammy's been better, which is the problem. It's like now they don't give a chance to Woll to play out of it. They have another guy. They're like, well, we got to win, so we're playing the other guy, and he plays better. It's like, oh, now the other guy doesn't get to play. Like, there's too much.
Yeah.
Game 1 of the playoffs, regardless of who starts, if they have a bad game, every fan's like, got to play the other guy. Got to play the other guy. If you have a starting goalie, guess
You
who's
don't.
starting the game too?
Yeah.
The starting goalie.
Yeah.
It's a horrible conversation that's really concerning for me.
Boston and Florida are 2nd and 3rd in the NHL in team save percentage this year. 2nd and 3rd.
And I guess, but Boston's kind of similar, though. They have Olmark and Swayman.
Yeah,
Swayman starts
they
way
got-
more.
They have the last Vezina winners, their backup goalie.
They tried to trade him. And then Stolar's has been good for the Cats as their backup. But
The best thing for Leafs fans is that goaltending's voodoo and anyone can get hot and anyone can stink.
I hate goalies.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break.
Sorry to all my goalie friends out there, but I just can't stand it.
Hate goalies.
The best guests on our show are all goalies. Like, I hate them.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we come back. Still plenty more to chew on for the Toronto Maple Leafs regarding the power play. No Morgan Riley,
Second unit, pal.
second unit.
Right,
We'll also talk Austin Matthews' life without Mitch Marner, or Willie for that matter, on his line. That more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. We're back. We're just back.
We're back.
That's all.
The Leafs have the worst power play in the league the last 2-3 weeks. March.
Yeah, March started 5%.
Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah. Ugh.
And
It's never looked worse than it did on Saturday night to me.
Well, it's not good.
There was no plan.
They had
there was
one
no
moment.
2 or 3. Was
how
there?
can
Like a fleeting one.
Like the one
how
Matthews
can
hit,
you
one in OT
have
maybe?
the number 1 goal scorer in the world and it's that bad?
I don't
Well,
know.
I think we know not having Marner out there, he's the only passer. Nylander doesn't pass. Tavares doesn't pass. Riley's slow to move it. You know, to Sam's point, if you're going to replace Marner on the first unit, you don't do it with Bertuzzi and Tavares out there together. Domi's a guy who at least is looking to move the puck around.
He does an impression,
Mhm.
right? Like, he's not Marner, but he can
He does a cover.
do an impression.
Yeah.
Leafs power play
He
units.
can go along the watchtower.
Karaoke Marner.
Leafs power play units at practice: Liljegren, Matthews, Tavares, Nylander, Bertuzzi, with the second one belonging to Morgan Riley. Domi, McMahon, Robertson, and Nyes will pick up the last 7 seconds.
Do you want to hear about Liljegren being on the top power play unit and not Morgan Riley?
Yes,
The
I
coach.
do.
Clip number 8, please.
Wow, it's just a little more presence of those two guys that are hungry, going to be consistent on the inside around the net. Way Philadelphia kills penalties is significantly different than what you see in Carolina. So that in itself makes you want to have this type of look. And then with Liljegren, the right shot at the top. and with some of our movement and such, especially losing the righty of Mitch, we think it's important with Austin and Willie's ability to shoot and finish, to having another right shot is helpful to that. And yeah, that's really it. And we get Morgan working with the other group, and it'll give that group a boost too.
How does it?
I like the second unit, to be honest.
It's just, we're doing this and we're making a potion. We're adding Eye of Newt. Like, just put the guy who passes out there with him.
Yeah.
And Morgan Riley on Saturday, God love him, but like they're playing him as a winger. He's like playing along the half wall. I was like, what are we doing
How
here?
about the one where Matthews is cocked and loaded, scraping the ceiling, and everyone and their grandma was like, "You gonna pass? Are you gonna pass that? You're not."
No,
he didn't pass it. Like Matthews is there, just going like, "Yeah."
Okay, can I tell you something? I hate that.
What?
The stick up in the air cocked.
He's loaded for a one-timer, Kip.
And everybody knows it, including your opposition.
But you want to? What do you mean?
I just think it's. I honest to God, I think it's a pee-wee look. I think it's minor hockey.
Alex Ovechkin scored 840 goals doing it.
Hey, the only thing missing is the beaver tap.
I literally don't know what point you're making. He's standing there waiting for one timer, and the puck doesn't come.
I don't want to see you. I want to see you. I don't see anybody else.
What?
Like as a centerman or as a guy that like I need. Don't tip your hat that it's coming to you to shoot the puck. It may work in November, December, this time of year. They will close it off. Slavin was all over him, taking that shot away. Did you see his last attempt on it?
The overtime one?
Yeah, the overtime one. Okay. Kuchekov was there before he even shot the puck.
That's.
Okay.
I mean, listen. If they're reading it, that's one thing. But when it's open to make the pass,
the pass
needs to
get made all day long.
He was wide open, Kippy.
That one was, Riley to me has these.
Is there
moments.
a chance that you could have everybody pull and then you could find someone else open?
Yes. Did we see it? Kucherov does it really well.
Can you make that pass if your stick's already up in the air?
Yes. Kucherov does that exceedingly well, right? That's that pump. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there just is no one moving it. There's no one on that unit that passes the puck.
I think everybody knows that there's one shooter on the power play now, and they're all over it. Why is it every year when you get closer to the bigger games, the power play and Austin disappear? Because it becomes more predictable as the season goes on?
I think there is a game plan when you're going against a team that has four guys who make $10 million plus and you know who to shut down, certainly. But I don't think that's different than Ovi does it on the power play or whoever, and teams know. And ideally, you're better than those defenders. I don't know.
To me, it's like it doesn't snap around fast enough anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And when it does get to Austin, they're ready.
Certainly that is the case. But again, I think lots of teams have that same thing where they're ready. I also think they have Tavares who shoots and Nylander who shoots, and having one shooter is not the problem.
Well,
no passers.
You got Tavares and Bertuzzi who are going to fight for the front of the net, the top of the blue paint.
Yeah, they're a redundant role to me.
Both of them get to stand there.
And now Liljegren can sift some through to him or something. But yeah, there's actually a great tweet. Luke Fox tweeted out today that the Toronto Maple Leafs power play in the Matthews, Marner, Nylander era is 24% in the regular season, third overall, and in the playoffs, 18.6%, which is 15th out of presumably 16 teams.
That is unbelievable drop.
Yeah, it is monster.
That's when you start talking about ghosts.
But we got to go back to the fact that like Morgan just doesn't have a threat back there.
Yeah.
There's just no
this
other
is why
threat.
Klingberg comes in, right?
There's no other threat to my point where like the predictability is there's only one guy that's got a legit shot at beating you from 40 feet out.
Yeah, from distance, it's tough to see anyone else. Willie will too, but Willie is...
So are you looking for redirects? Tavares can redirect the puck. We know that.
The thing is, Kip, we've seen them be wildly successful for long stretches. Were they the best power play in the NHL last year? Or second best? Like, we've seen how it can work with these guys.
And then it's historically drops off a cliff.
Yeah, they're fifth in the league this year.
We can beat this up all day, but They're going to have to figure it out, not us here.
Yeah. Want the truth serum? Don't think they do. It always happens. This is their Achilles. This is the sneaky Achilles heel for this whole era of hockey. Where
it happened against Tampa last year until it didn't against Florida.
I mean, they ran at 25% last year in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So they were, that's sixth in the playoffs. So they were decent last year, I guess.
Better.
Getting there.
Maybe this is the year.
You got Matthews playing on the top line without Mitch or Willie. What did you like about this clip?
Well, it talks about what he has to do. It's actually kind of interesting if you want to hear it.
Let's do it.
I think there's more pucks available for Austin to be the driver and to be the facilitator for others. And at the same time, it's about finding the chemistry with those guys to have them kind of know when he's available, probably talking, communicating more. And there's less of a sort of, that sense that someone like Mitch has of where Austin is and where to find them and the vision and such. A little bit different with those guys. So we're working through that a little bit. But it wasn't as good against Carolina. But like we talked about, really liked how those guys played. Whether it was Yarny there, or whether when Holmberg got moved up when Yarny went out. We really liked that, and Holmberg in particular had a really strong game in Philadelphia, so you want to stay with it.
I like the sounds of Matthews as a facilitator.
Thought you might catch that.
Yes, I'm all for that.
Well, he set up Bertuzzi for a peach against. Was that against Philly? When he put it in front of the net, and he had 2 points in that game. But
yeah, the the Holmberg thing is an inconsistent sort of factor because he can be really, really good like Philly, and then against Carolina, just isn't there. And I can't tell what the difference is when Holmberg's
quality of competition. Probably
that's fair.
That you're playing
it's like
against
Liljegren. I find is really good when it's a slightly lesser level of competition.
Yeah, I feel
Listen, there's ton of pressure on guys that are just learning how to be pros too, including Holmberg and Bobby McMahon, and they're asked now to be big when they're just scratching the surface on how to be a pro, and then now how to do it in the playoffs, how to be a guy that you can count on in the playoffs. It's a lot of pressure on these guys too.
I think on Friday we had a clip where Keefe was talking about McMahon, and he said, we have some things that are different with our team, like the emergence of McMahon. Like he was basically talking about McMahon, like this is a guy that we're trying to figure out how high up the lineup he can play. But you're right, come playoffs, playing Boston, playing Florida,
no training, no prior playoff training.
Think about the difference in some of the guys they're going to be using from last year this year, right? Like last year it was Achari, Lafferty, Ryan O'Reilly,
older guys.
Take your pick of guys.
Yeah.
And now you go right into it's the kids basically.
Yeah.
Like you got young. Remember Berchilli was talking about this. Like Connor Dewar's young, Holmberg's young, Bobby McMahon isn't that young, but he's young in the league. You're depending on Liljegren, like
still asking
young guys.
Matthew Nyes to carry carry a top line into the playoffs, and he had that sniff last year coming out of college, and
that helps.
We know what Sam Bennett did to him. How much better prepared is he now from that experience? But sometimes these kids need 2 or 3 years of that to be ready for it to help compete for 4 rounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got to really work on getting punched in the head and assaulted on the ice.
You do, Sam. Yeah, you do, Sam. You do.
Need to figure out how to avoid those spots.
And I would
hope
next time Sam Bennett comes around, he's better prepared, including maybe bringing a stick up, whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. Don't get hurt, Sam.
Yeah.
Don't get hurt.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence, Sam.
No, it's definitely Sam Bennett. There's no coincidence there.
No.
Not the way he plays.
All of that there's something to be said about having playoff experience. So, that's why Edmondson's in and Simone Benoit's out.
Well, I think I was just going to say that. This is one of the changes they've made, and I see what they were doing with Edmondson. I see the idea. He's like a bigger version of Benoit, maybe a slightly meaner version with the cup experience, and there's lots to like there. But it is pretty crummy that a guy like Benoit is basically McMahon on defense, played himself up and through the expectations, earned himself an important job here, and has now not gotten a game since the trade deadline. It's a little disappointing, and I know
he'll play tomorrow night.
He is in. He's in because Labushkin's sick.
Yeah, he's sick, so he's not traveling. But
So
let's listen to Keith. We do have one. Do you want to hear
Sure,
Sheldon on
yeah,
that?
absolutely.
Yeah, clip 6 on that.
I'd expect it to be a little bit better, quite honestly, just because he's now stepped back from the lineup and watched, and that's motivating in and of itself. But also, the league is hard when you're playing all the time. When you get a chance to sort of step back and recharge and re-energize, I think when you come back into the lineup, you expect to have a little bit more. I think. Betty specifically, I think, has done a really good job for us. Liked a lot of things that he's brought to us, but I don't think the last little stretch has been as good as it was at different points in the season. Hopefully taking a step back a little bit will be beneficial to him and us in the long term.
So I hate the way you're just selling that. Like, yeah, see, it's a chance to take some time off. I'm sure that's what he wanted.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to not play in the NHL.
Yeah. Like when you roll up the rim, I won the chance to play again. Great.
Yeah. Listen, I can't stress this enough. 23, 24 guys, just be ready. You think you're on the outside looking in. You think they've forgotten about you. Boom, somebody gets hurt.
Yeah. And
you're playing 15 minutes a night, and you're right in the thick of things. So the only thing I can recall is in when we won the Stanley Cup was Doug Lidster was a pretty good sound NHL defenseman. 500-600 games under his belt. Not playing until Jeff Bukaboom goes down, and the guys, I'm not sure we win without him.
I was, if the Leafs play 10 playoff games this year, I'd be shocked if Benoit doesn't play 5. I'd be shocked. Like whether it's due to injury or need or whatever, like he's going to get in hockey games for them in the postseason.
Best of 11 in the first round this year?
What did they play last year? 12, 11?
Just
giving him the
need
benefit of the doubt.
some depth, for sure. Did we play Matthews?
Yeah, we played it.
Did Matthews? Only
facilitator.
thing we've got Nick Robertson. Yeah. If we want to hear about him coming back and scoring, I know Sammy loves talking about Robertson. Speaking of guys that could come in, I do like the idea of him coming out of the press box in Game 4 or something, shooting one in the net for him, an OT winner or something.
Yeah, let's give him some love.
Okay.
You look at the games, I don't know how many games it is now where he's been a scratch and come in and scored right away. Like I said, he gives us that sort of boost. He worked hard tonight. It was a great goal. Terrific effort by John Tavares to lead to it. John's second period in particular was just absolutely outstanding tonight. And I thought really pushed our team and got our team going. Like that was a really great period by our captain. And then, great spot by Robbie to finish it.
You said you're not thrilled with the Tavares Robertson. Nice.
No, it's a bad line.
Bad line.
But it's a good line when John Tavares is, 2007 or 2014 John Tavares. He was so good.
Can't do it every night.
No.
He doesn't have it in him every night, but he still can throw it back for a game or two.
But if he's off and then it's Knies and Robertson, I don't want that line on the ice. But he was good enough.
It's just fresh legs for JT.
Yeah. Yeah, and he had tons of pop for whatever reason. I don't know.
Off.
Yeah.
They're off.
A little bit of rest and come in.
A little bit of rest.
Which is important to remember when you get to game 82. Like, they need him to not play game 82. They need it to not matter. They need him to have...
I'd rest him a lot more than just 82.
Yeah. Would you?
From here on in. But...
Like every other game?
I don't know. You gotta be considerate of him, too, and how he prepares.
They'll have a long break, right? Because they'll play... I think they play the Wednesday is their last game before the playoffs, so they'll probably have Wednesday to Monday or Wednesday to Tuesday. They'll have 6 or 7 days off, so...
Get a fresh JT for game 1.
A break.
There you go.
Yeah, heading down to Boston.
In the meantime, we'll see how fresh they are.
Could be.
Back-to-back games coming up in Philadelphia tomorrow night.
Yeah.
In Washington Wednesday night.
Big games.
And the Capitals are right in the thick of things in the East. So we'll talk about that in the next hour. Also, Sean Reynolds will join us. He is in Florida for the general manager meetings. We're going to talk West Conference after the break. Stick around, everybody. All right, we go national now on Real Kyper and Bourne. Live on Sportsnet, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick with you for the next hour as well. We've got GM meetings in Florida. I just came back from Florida.
This is your favorite thing.
And let me
ever,
tell you something.
Nothing gets
Whoever
you
we've
going.
got down there, Elliot, David Amber, I don't even know who's down
Reynolds,
there.
The man who we're going to speak to is there.
Sean Reynolds. Boys, you are as much on vacation as I was the last 3 days.
Hey, turn your mic on.
There
you go.
There's no bigger work fraud than the GM meeting.
Oh, my
There we
God.
go, boys. Oh,
Listen,
hey.
Well-
love Sean. He'll report the hell out of it.
I'm here to report that the GMs are talking about what's working and what's not working in the NHL.
Yes.
Back to you.
Yeah.
I heard the number one agenda is that
What?
they got to, continue to get the refs to screw the Leafs.
It is.
I heard
Number one.
I heard
That's Sammy's.
the Leafs are just getting screwed by those refs every night. So they got
I've
to work
heard
on that.
the number one topic of conversation is which course to play Sunday.
Where did you get a
Goodness.
deep dive?
Yeah, there's a press release no press release. Press release would have done it, but apparently they're going to do like an F1 style series, which is kind of cool.
So we'll
All
welcome
around
in Sean
nice.
Reynolds as soon as he can, cover up his Speedo right now. Right? Throw a T-shirt on.
If he comes on our show on camera in a Speedo, he will be the number one all-time guest. That would be a massive victory.
He'd bump Doug McLean.
Yeah, well, unless Doug came on in a Speedo the next one.
Well, I don't
Let's
think we
start
wanna
a
do
trend
that.
on the show.
We will talk Winnipeg Jets with him. Right now, that Central is looking awfully good in terms of true contenders for the Stanley Cup. Dallas, Winnipeg, and Colorado.
All tied, 91 points.
91 points. Say the thing you said before the show up top. You like the Jets, right?
Listen, if we talk about Dallas and Colorado and Winnipeg just from the net on out, how do you not like Hellebuyck the best?
I know.
And I'm a
It's-
Jake Ottinger fan, but that guy's not having a year.
And Connor Hellebuyck is the Vezina frontrunner, and the additions of Toffoli and Monahan, to me, have changed this group. God, they play that Nemesnikov on the fourth line, on the first line. He's a great player. I mean, they are as deep a forward group as I can remember in the salary cap era here. But they got goaltending, and they got a ton of forwards.
I just have a hard time picking against Colorado.
Yeah.
I watched that game on Saturday night against Edmonton.
They're a powerhouse. I mean, no one can hang when they go Makar, McKinnon, Nichushkin, Rantanen.
Yeah, I just, Edmonton is going to be really good this year. And I pray that it comes down to Edmonton and Colorado having to play in a playoff series again.
Yeah. Give us 7 of those.
I don't know I just have a hard time picturing them losing to Edmonton. I just feel like don't know what the difference is. Don't know how to explain it. But to me, it's just give me Colorado still in that series all day.
Boy, the Leon Draisaitl back check
Oh, yeah. Not pretty.
on the OT winner. Whew, that was tough to watch.
Yeah.
The old controller disconnect moment.
How about
It happens.
but Nathan McKinnon?
He's a force. The pickup from the skates up through his own legs to get the puck there. I mean, he is Hart Trophy front runner for a reason.
So I just checked in with Jen on Reynolds.
Mhm.
Just having a tough time getting him set up because it's too sunny.
Is that right? Is that right? For real?
It's a tough problem to have, eh?
Well, I mean, you just got back from.
It's hailing horizontally here.
Yeah, it's not
at
pretty.
-1.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
The one thing I will say about Edmonton, though, and like we saw Sam Carrick score a good goal. They got Adam Henrique. But when you compare it to what Colorado did at the trade deadline, I mean, Winnipeg, they did Miller basically and Sean Monahan and Toffoli. Like those are big. They've turned into be real important. 2 of them are frontline, top 6 guys. Into Foley and McMahon. I'm not sure if Edmonton did enough.
It's funny
think
because they
all
did a lot.
in.
Yeah. Just don't think the D maybe took a Stetcher's not enough to get him where you wanted him.
No, not for me.
Duhaime
Not
and
for me.
Trennan just formed a formidable fourth line for them.
All right, let's welcome him in the shade. Man, oh man, you got it made in the shade. Too sunny for you, eh?
Well, no, I heard that you guys would be too jealous. I had the great shot of the beach, or we could have played Where's Waldo with Elliot in the background by the pool, and instead I had to go back in here and make it look like I'm doing this out of a closet. So I hope you guys are happy with yourselves. Your jealousy has cost a really good background for this interview.
So, besides our jealousy for the Sun, like, how is it going right now? Like, giving us the perception that something important is happening down there. How's that going?
Listen, I've been on one of these with you before, Kyper, so you know exactly what is happening down here. You're basically showing up, you're putting in 2 hours of work, if you're honest. I'm not one of those honest folks. So, this is basically a paid vacation. Don't tell the bosses about it. You were as bad, probably the worst offender I've seen down here.
This is true.
So
they kicked me off.
I'll find myself sitting on the bench going forward because I'm maybe going a little bit too far down the Kyper road down here.
Yes.
But I'm going to enjoy every last minute.
I was dumb enough to tell them how ridiculous it was, and they believed me and they pulled me off of it. Is there anything at all that you can mention with a straight face about what's going on down there?
Give the guy a break.
I mean, the GMs are coming down here and they're putting their work in, right? And so they're, I think it's been like this for a long time. This was the story last year. They really like the place where the game is at right now. So everything is like little tweaks. So, I mean, they're looking at the idea of should they be able to review puck over glass? And if you do, is it only to negate a goal and all these different kind of things that they're having a look at. I think they took a look at 3-on-3 overtime with the question, like, does anything need to change? And I think what they're looking at right now is, no, nothing. I think they like it, right? And when you get to the real hockey in the playoffs, you scrub that and you just, look forward. And other than that, what they're seeing out of 3-on-3, I mean, if you were watching, I heard you guys talking about both the Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche. If you saw that overtime game, you're seeing as skilled the players, putting on a clinic out there as you can with a dramatic last-second goal. I think they took a little bit of a look at it today and said, yep, let's just leave that alone. We like what's happening with it.
And in terms of items on the docket there, I know LTIR had come up. Is there any chance something changes there, or is everyone just kind of like, it's okay?
Yeah, I always find it fascinating that I covered the 2015 Cup final between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Tampa Bay Lightning, and Chicago was way over the cap due to LTIR. They were using the existing rules. The Tampa Bay Lightning tried to have that changed after that, and guess how many teams in the rest of the league supported the Tampa Bay Lightning? 0. No one wanted to change it at the time. So what did Tampa do? They said, okay, these are the rules under which we're operating under. And they went out and they absolutely, made it work in their favor and won some cups. And now the Vegas Golden Knights are doing the same. So I always wonder, because for me, I take a look at this, and for me, it's almost 10 years since the league had a chance to do something with this. And I think what ends up happening is every team wants the ability to kind of get themselves out of a jam or juice it if it ever becomes their time. And just we've seen over this time that certain teams have done a better time than others. But I always think that teams think eventually my time may come. And when it does, everything's about winning a championship. I always say this, ask the 89 Flames what that one banner means to them, and ask the Vancouver Canucks what not having one means to them. So when a team has an opportunity to put one up in the rafters, they want every tool at their disposal.
Talking to Sean Reynolds, who does a terrific job basking in the sun, covering the GM meetings, and also covers the Winnipeg Jets. All right, here's why we're talking right now, because we are seeing one heck of a race right now in the Central Division, led by the Winnipeg Jets. I would imagine seeing how they've only gotten 91 points in 67 games, while Colorado's needed 68 and Dallas 69. But wow, is this thing set up? Someone's heart is really going to get broken after the first round, because these are some really good teams that look like at least may face each other at some point here real early.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get the sense if you are, either Winnipeg or Dallas or Colorado, you're going to have to face one, if not both, those teams to get out of there. And then what's waiting for you could be the Edmonton Oilers, the hottest team in the NHL since they had that terrible start, or the Vegas Golden Knights that look like if they could just make it click and figure it out could be exactly what they were facing last year. Never mind Vancouver, as good as they're playing and so on. The West is an absolute war. And it's funny because covering this, like, I get it. I understand wanting to get that first seed in Winnipeg. It's really going to matter about getting home dates because they want to make some money. It's going to be an opportunity for them to make some money. We've talked on this show about their attendance issues so far this season. So they're going to want as much money as they can get. So they're going to want as many home games as they can possibly get. But, if you're Winnipeg and you walk out of this and you do get to the finish line ahead of those other two teams, and you finish with either the first or second seed in the West, and your reward is facing the Vegas Golden Knights if they happen to stay in that spot, or the Nashville Predators, who came in a couple nights ago in Winnipeg and left no doubt who was the better team on that night. There are 0 free spaces on the bingo card in the West this season, and I would not be one bit surprised if the Winnipeg Jets or the Colorado Avalanche or the Dallas Stars or two of those teams are out in the first round after the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a fascinating and also somewhat terrifying notion. I was just saying before we had you on that the addition of Toffoli to me changes the look of Winnipeg's forwards. I mean, with Monahan as well. I know with Velarde in, it would look even better, but like they have 14 really good forwards. Since you've been covering the Jets, is this not the best, deepest group of forwards they've ever had?
Yeah, it's a fun conversation to have if you're a Jets fan, because 2018, Brian Little was their fourth line center.
True. They
right?
did have a very good group then too.
Yeah, and so, but that said, he centered Jack Roslovic, who was new, and Patrick Laine, as good as he was at that time, was really, really young, and so was Kyle Connor. So there was a lot of inexperience in that. So I think I've landed on, it's a great question because I think you're right. I do think this is the deepest group I've seen from Winnipeg, not because it wasn't like a better collection of players, but because where those players are, the playoff experience that Toffoli has. I mean, Toffoli burnt the Jets a couple of years ago in the playoffs, scored the game winner in game 2 against the Jets, and then the series winner when the Montreal Canadiens swept them. They add that in there. Sean Monahan has been the perfect both defensive presence, playing the game the right way, but all the offense that he's been generating for himself, he earns honestly. Their third line, I've said this before, I believe is the best third line in the game. When Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor get going, they can be one of the biggest offensive threats out there. And their fourth line now, they've got a rotating cast of characters where, hey, you want to grind teams a little bit, you can put in Rasmus Kupari and David Gustafsson, who have a lot of speed. You want to add a little bit of offensive flair to that line? Well, you talked about it. Vlad Nemeskov has been great for this team this year. And, you can probably slip Cole Perfetti onto that line, who had a really good stretch of good offensive hockey so far this year, a young player. But there you go. If he's not meeting the moment as a young player, you can pop him out of the lineup. They didn't have those options with guys like Jack Roslovic or Kyle Connor or Patrick Laine the last time around. So, yes, I agree with you. This is the deepest Winnipeg Jets forward group I've seen since I've been covering the team.
You mentioned Scheifele and Kyle Connor as being offensive zone threats. Where are they 200-foot game, when you compare them to what they may go up against other top centermen or goal scorers?
So Mark Scheifele is there. Mark Scheifele has not been given credit all year of the kind of turnaround he's had. We all know the reputation that he was starting to get last year, that he was a one-way player. He absolutely has erased that in my mind. And hey, guys, there's been 4 or 5 games this year where he's not been in the lineup, and the Jets do not look like themselves. A pivotal player for them. Kyle Connor, there would be a little bit of a question about that. The Jets, despite the fact that they've been hanging with the, like right there in the race lately, they haven't been playing their best hockey as of late. Their schedule is kind of hidden a little bit of anemia in that lineup, in that like the Jets are the best team in the NHL at putting teams below the playoff line in their place. Since Christmas, they're 19-3-1, I believe, against teams below the playoff line. But what that's been hiding, guys, is behind the scenes, the Jets have struggled since Christmas against teams over the playoff line. They're 3-7-1, I believe, against teams over the playoffs since then. One of those was that miracle comeback that they had when they were down 3-0 against Carolina and won that game. And a lot of these games that we're talking about, they haven't been close. Like I said, Nashville came into town. There was no doubt they were the better team on the ice. We all remember a couple Saturdays ago, Vancouver against the Jets. I thought the Canucks kind of embarrassed the Jets on that night. So the Jets are in this weird little spot right now where they are in the standings. Everyone looks at them and thinks everything's hunky-dory. They haven't been able to hang with the pressure that's been applied by good teams for a while now. They play the Rangers tomorrow night. That's going to be a real show me game for them. But some of the players that I think when they run into that pressure that good teams provide, that have had a little bit of trouble, Kyle Connor would definitely be one of those players because he turns the puck over a little bit too easily. His defensive game isn't there. But the one thing he does is he hides it by scoring goals and goals and goals and goals, guys. And we know it's the hardest thing to do in the game. Sometimes you just got to forgive those guys because they do the hardest thing that it is to do in the game, and he makes it look easy.
And so, talking about their forwards, we know their goaltending's good. Is their D going to be enough? Could that be why they struggle against the elite teams? Is just handling when you play those good teams and they have those real high-end lines like Morrissey, DeMello? Is that who gets the bulk of the heavy lifting there?
Yeah, and Dylan Sandberg has been quietly a really, really effective defensive defenseman. He's a big, big kid. So that's one of the spots on that. People don't think of Dylan Sandberg when they think of the Winnipeg Jets defense core, but he's a big guy who doesn't have a problem holding his own. Brendan Dillon, another big guy, doesn't have a problem holding his own. I think they bring in Miller because they're thinking of adding a little bit more size, but you're right. Dylan DeMello isn't the biggest guy. Josh Morrissey gives up nothing defensively for the offense that he creates, but I covered 2 rounds of the Vegas Golden Knights last year. I covered 3 rounds of the Canadians going to the Cup final a couple of years ago. And one thing that I learned from that is, as skilled as this league is getting, when you've got a bunch of giant trees on the back end that just do not let you get to the front of the net, that's highly effective. The Winnipeg Jets defense does not have that makeup. Now, a team structure has made them the best defensive team in the league so far this year. That said, everything gets a little bit harder, a little bit heavier towards the playoffs. And so that is a question that I have in my head. Is that the pressure test that they have been failing as of late? Because the amount of opportunities they've given away inside, the ability for teams to get to the net against the Jets has gotten better since Christmas time. And it may just be that. Like, if there's any fatal flaw in this team, Kevin Cheveldayoff needed a second line. He didn't have one. He went out and he built one and built a great one. But if there's a fatal flaw, it's that this team does not have that look of the defense of the St. Louis Blues winning in 2019, the Canadians who went someplace they shouldn't have gone, and of course the Vegas Golden Knights, and you talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning and some of the massive guys they've got on the back end there. Big, big defenses have ruled the Stanley Cup over the last couple of years, and the Jets do not have that.
Sean, just before you came on, we were just talking about the race, obviously, with Dallas and Colorado, but I kind of give the edge to Winnipeg for no other reason than maybe Hellebuyck in net. And while we have Georgiev is still maybe a bit of a question mark. Jake Ottinger, we know what level he can get to. He just hasn't gotten to it at all this year for whatever reason in Dallas consistently. But can Hellebuyck be what Vasilevsky was to Tampa the last few years in Winnipeg?
Great question. Huge question, because that is the question when it comes to Connor Hellebuyck. Because if you're talking about playoff Vasilevsky, we all know what that looks like, right? Like that guy that in winner go home games just showed up and his numbers were just stupid, and you watch those games and he just wasn't giving anything up. Connor Hellebuyck does not have that playoff pedigree. Connor Hellebuyck has been a great regular season goaltender, but if you take a look at it, I mean, right now, last season, he got out-dueled in the playoffs by the guy who's playing backup to him right now. And if you take a look at the players that he's bested, he's won 3 playoff series, and that would be against Devin Dubnyk, not long before he retired. Mike Smith, in the Mike Smith days of, letting in goals from the other end of the ice in the playoffs, him shortly before he retired. And then Pekka Rinne in the year that Rinne did win the Vezina. But if you go back and look at that series between the Nashville Predators and the Winnipeg Jets, that second round in 2018, he wasn't very good in that series. He got yanked from 2 games, including the 7th and deciding game there. So there's been a lot of times that, Talbot outdid him when Calgary beat them. We all saw what Flower did to him. We all saw what Carey Price did to him. So this is the final frontier for Connor Hellebuyck. He's shown in every way that he is one of the best goaltenders of his generation, if not the best of his generation, but he has not shown that in the playoffs. And I have thought and pondered this question. I can't think of great goaltenders that we've talked about in the past that didn't have some kind of amazing playoff exploits to kind of back up their mythology. And it's simple, guys. Connor Hellebuyck does not have that yet in his career or on his resume.
So in terms of who the Jets may get, you talked about how there's no free bingo squares on the card. In terms of teams in the West that are outside looking in, St. Louis, Minnesota, Calgary, Seattle, if you're being generous, any of those teams have a chance? Or is this going to be Nashville, Vegas? It's really hard. I know St. Louis has won 4 in a row, but do you think any of them are competitive in that way?
Yeah, I don't personally. Like, in my mind, I've locked this off into a top 8. And from watching those teams play, I don't think those teams have, what those other teams have. St. Louis, I know that the Jets kind of love playing them. I know that St. Louis just likes to play a wide open offensive game, and the Jets will welcome that every time. If they were to slip in, the Jets were to get them, that would be the best thing that could happen with them. Now, I'm sitting here operating on the assumption that Vegas is going to figure this out and turn things around. But Vegas, if you remember last year, had a midseason lull. And then with 15 games left, they turned it on. Laurent Brossoit was part of that. He had points in every 15 straight games or something like that down the stretch. So I guess I need to see them make that turn to believe it, because otherwise we're seeing them. They lost to Columbus not too long ago, and they've had some struggles. I assume they're going to be okay, but if they do fall out of it, all those teams the Jets match up well against. I mean, Minnesota came in and tried to lean on the Jets, and the Jets leaned on them. And then when they got sick of getting leaned on, they tried to play offense, and the Jets there's not a facet of the game the Jets can't beat the Minnesota Wild at. If you take a look at their record for a long time, St. Louis does not hang with them. Calgary's beat them twice this year, so maybe there's something going on there. But in my mind, I've closed this off to the top 8. That could be a fatal flaw of mine. But from what I've seen of these teams, I've seen enough to think that the top 8 stand out as far as capabilities as a team.
He's Sean Reynolds covering the GM meetings in Florida. Any time to get back to the pool, or is it straight to meeting Elliot for cocktails?
Well, Elliot is at the pool, probably with cocktails, so I'm going to do both.
That's perfect. Love it.
Hey, check the room on the tab. It could be yours.
It'll be the first time it's happened, guys.
Sean Reynolds.
Thanks, Sean.
See you later, guys.
Live from the GM meetings in Florida.
Yeah. Big news down there. You hear?
No.
No, me either.
No.
I don't think there's one thing that would collectively heal hockey fans like the Vegas Golden Knights missing the playoffs.
That would really be wonderful, wouldn't it?
They can't activate those guys off of the playoffs if they're not in the playoffs.
Oh, boy. St. Louis, 4 wins in a row, 4 points back of Vegas now.
What is their schedule?
St. Louis has a very soft schedule, last I checked. Strength.
They do.
Yeah. I think it's maybe the easiest in the league.
There's
somewhere.
chess.
Really?
There's just nowhere I see Vegas missing. You guys?
No.
Well, they got to play the Avs tomorrow, which is no good. And then they're in Ottawa.
25th. Yeah. So
in Ottawa against the Wild. And then on Monday, March 25th, they play against the Golden Knights.
Oh, good gravy.
And then it's Flames, Sharks.
Yeah, they got some winnable hockey games.
They're not out of it. I mean, I would love to see.
Doug Armstrong.
Wouldn't you love to see just some adversity for the Golden Knights down the stretch where they have to, like, all those guys sitting on the sideline wearing their gear ready to jump on the ice, but they can't
Can't touch
the other
the
guys.
ice. Stone's ready.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think,
101% health on the old spleen.
All right, Sammy, you got game time? Or are we going to a break?
no, here. Let me get my sheets ready here, guys. It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app, latest odds, and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. And only a couple games tonight. Game featured on Monday Night Hockey is the Washington Capitals visiting the Calgary Flames. Two teams that are, I think, one team that's officially out of it.
Big game for the Caps.
Yeah,
If you
I
believe
know.
the Flames are in it, big game for you too.
Yeah, for sure. If you believe that,
I
then
don't know, about 2 weeks ago, I kind of made fun of the playoff race,
and then immediately it got good.
and it sucks again.
Oh, does it?
Oh, come on.
Well, the
fact
East
that the
doesn't.
Washington Capitals are in it tells you how much it sucks.
But it's
Yeah, no, it's
a
a
race. Kipper.
turtle
It's
derby
not
for
a
sure.
race. It's a turtle derby, as the man's saying. It's not a playoff
Who
race.
can lose the least?
Thank
on
you.
the way in?
That you consider that a playoff race?
No,
Yeah, that's literally what it is. There's 5 teams that could make the playoffs.
there is a
That are-
race.
and
They
that's
are
a good
racing
thing?
towards, yes. This is what you asked for.
When they
literally.
stink?
It's like a
Well,
race
if
if
you're-
everyone running it were wearing Crocs.
Kippy, if they were good, they'd be at the top of the standings. That's the reason they're fighting for the last playoff spot.
So Tampa has
that's-
kind of
it
separated
makes it less
themselves in
fun
the
to
East.
watch, Sammy, when they like look like they don't care. The Islanders were horrible the other night. Horrible. That
wanna
to
talk
me
about
is a team that you want to watch and cheer for, or you're interested in the race.
I think of the teams, Detroit, Washington, the Islanders. I think the Islanders are the best of that group. I am somewhat biased, I suppose, but
How many?
Vegas doesn't agree.
Listen,
Detroit
no,
is,
I'm talking East. I'm talking East.
yeah, to make the playoffs, Detroit is minus 110.
Oh, Vegas doesn't. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got more points.
The Islanders are plus 130.
are there 6 good teams in the East,
7.
including?
Tampa.
2, 3.
Excluding
I
Philly
am
then.
including Tampa.
So you had Philly out then.
I got Philly out.
Yeah, Philly's going to drop out.
Yes.
I mean, their back end is just ravaged by injury.
Yeah.
Like, they really are having a tough time.
They have no goalie.
They got no goalie. That Arison against the Leafs was
Right?
awful.
Yeah, you're
Like
right.
6.
You're right. You're right.
6 decent teams.
6.
What's the goal differential that Washington has right
minus
now?
30.
Minus 30
They're minus
and
30.
still in it.
Islanders are minus 20.
They have to win 2-1.
Yeah.
They can't score.
They can't score. They have no offensive generation. I was sorting today, Corsi 4 per 60, shot attempts per game, basically, and they're San Jose, Chicago bad. They're bottom of the league.
It's not even close who their MVP in Washington is this year.
Who is it? Dylan Strome?
No,
Not Ovi.
the goalie.
Lindgren.
Charlie.
Charlie Lindgren.
Yeah.
Yes.
By far, by a country mile.
Yeah.
He is holding them in 2-1 the other night
Once
against Vancouver.
Yeah. No, he's been awesome. I think his save percentage is through
Awesome.
exceptional too.
Awesome. But come on, somebody.
Your boy Dubas's Penguins aren't even out of it.
I know the Penguins are hanging around.
They are.
I know they're 5 points out of it with the game in hand. Here comes the Penguins around the
gosh.
stretch.
Everything's great.
Down the stretch. That's it.
With the
Better.
Devils.
The
What
Devils.
happened?
Their D's no good. They actually have an atrocious defense. Atrocious. It's not just the goalies. The goalies have had no chance.
Not a chance.
Anyway, so
Anyways.
me bringing up the Washington
Just
Capitals
let me say,
tonight.
it, go Sabres, go.
Oh, they're not. That was a bad loss to the Red Wings on if they had any
Sure
chance.
was.
But if you believe that the Caps are chasing this thing and they're going up against Calgary, who, you know, they can play all right on any given night, but the Washington Capitals are plus 115 tonight. The Calgary Flames are minus 135.
Yeah.
If you're believing in this, hey, listen, both these teams, they stink.
Mhm.
Neither are good.
Mhm.
But one team has stakes and one team doesn't. So,
And they're the plus. Yeah, I love
So
it.
plus
I
115
I
on the
have bet
Capitals.
on Washington tonight.
okay. And
Parlayed with the other road team.
The other road team is the Buffalo Sabres heading to Seattle.
Are they still in it?
Yes.
Still in it.
Oh my
Still in it.
Borny, I got to tell you, that's a putrid parlay.
Oh my God.
So bad.
What is their
it.
goal
Oh,
differential?
I hate it.
Oh, my God.
-1.
Okay.
Oh, they're a juggernaut.
I know.
Oh, my God. All right.
They're not bad.
Well, that uplifting edition of Game Time.
This has been everyone's bad.
It's Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app, play the odds. Find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. That's 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. I can't even do that.
There you
Place
go,
your bets,
Sammy.
folks.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, talk a little bit Panthers, Lightning, a suspension off of that game.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that. Any
Simmons?
Arizona
No.
news?
Yeah, there's apparently
update. Did Elliott give us one Saturday night?
Yeah, they may relocate.
we'll
they may not. Breaking
Touch on
news.
that. Wayne Simmons
Yeah.
signed a one-day contract. We'll
Mhm.
tell you with who when he officially announces his retirement. That and more on Real Kyper and Bourne when we return.
Welcome back to Real Kyper and Bourne. I am your host, Justin Bourne, joined today by my guest, Nick Kypreos. Kyper, good to have you back.
Nice jump in.
Thanks. I've been practicing.
No, listen. By all means, take it.
Take it and run. Yes, absolutely.
Run, baby. No, terrific job the last few days, boys.
Thanks, pal.
Hearing rave reviews.
We were.
I'm just here watching and observing.
Just hanging out. We were just watching the Kulikov hit.
Suspended 2 games on a head hit on Connor Sheary from Tampa Bay.
That hit. You see? I
just
mean,
nothing but head.
all head. It's just like playing T-ball, picking the ball clean off the tee with a swing. You can't do that.
You know, I know they're having discussions again, and George Paros is down presenting at the general manager meetings. But there is something to be said about why this one only 2, why this one 5. That's really the. I guess I know they do the explanations on the videos.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the percentage of the actual hockey fan that would actually listen to it?
20 can't be high.
2 out of 10.
But I do think that they
maybe.
have to do it.
Yes. For sure.
So
it's just
there
as
is
much
some-
for the players and for the organizations to fully understand it. I get all of that. But that is a complete pick of the head with his shoulder.
Well, you should have thought maybe more.
Yes.
Okay.
When I compare it to Morgan Riley's stick in the head, to me that blows more dangerous than what Morgan did.
Yeah, it's funny. I
One's
find them.
5,
I don't.
one's
But I don't find them
2.
comparable, right? Because one's not even a hockey play.
What is comparable to you, though, is the force and the damage that you could do. Is that comparable?
Yeah, I would say like Rempe is comparable. Like coming from the blind side,
Yes.
picking the head.
What did he get,
He
4?
got 3, 4.
He got
4.
4,
Yeah. And I guess his angle is a little worse, and there's an injury. But I will say, watching that, I couldn't help but feel like those teams are going to be
Injuries are a huge part.
the outcome. But those teams, the way that Tampa responded right away, Florida's in their 300th line brawl. Like those teams are just playoff built. I don't like the hit, but I like how both teams responded to it.
Yeah, they just snap like at everything. Like everything is the worst thing that's happened, and they're all immediately doing it.
Florida's just looking for it, eh?
Flippers off.
Yeah.
Lightning now winners of 3 in a row, including beating the Panthers 4-3. Steven Stamkos 2 goals. I think he's 2 off, I'm not mistaken, off of Rocket Richard's total.
Was that good?
Is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
he's really
Heard of him.
he's moving up.
Still a
Something
UFA,
like-
right? Going to the
yeah.
offseason with no contract?
He's also dashed 22 this year.
That's bizarre.
Which is really strange because everyone else is plus. Like Braden Point, what's Braden Point?
No, he's dash too.
Okay, then it's just the 2 of them.
Yeah,
it's Kucherov then,
Yes.
who's like something ridiculous.
Kucherov is he's a plus player, but the other guys are minus 13 and minus 20 or something.
So what is Kucherov, who leads the league?
He's plus 2.
That's
Plus
it?
2.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm mistaken then.
Let's look
Oh, I
at-
thought he was much better.
let's find their hockey club in particular and see if there's just a few of them.
Like, I think it speaks to maybe the inconsistency. on them. But Stamkos' numbers are pretty strong at 60 points.
Yeah, like
He's
Hedman's plus
-1.
12.
Or I'm sorry, 60 points, -22.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's a fascinating UFA to me. Like, you think he's just a shoe-in to re-sign there? Get?
I think he's a shoe-in to resign. Yeah, I do. But I don't know where he would be on
For some
price.
a lollipop and bag of chips for a year?
It's Tampa. I like it here.
How old is he now? 34?
34, yeah.
So what would you think is
34.
what would you think is a fair deal on an extension? 2 years? You want 3 years?
8 years, $10 million per.
14 million.
Can you
Yeah,
just-
yeah.
Stop it for a second. He's 34 years old.
I bet you he would like a 4-year contract if I had to bet.
Okay, so to me, you're probably talking about 4.5, 5.
Oh, what?
Sure.
What do you? I mean,
You think that's? I don't know what your reaction is.
I think he's got how many goals? Almost 30. He's gonna be a 35 goal scorer this year. You're ready to give McMahon that much money. I mean, I just feel like he's got to get 6'5",
No.
6.
Well, I don't think they can afford it to keep the team together. So that's going to come into play here. That's big. Is that, Stammer, you want to stick around? You want to compete for another 2 years? You can't take 6.5, but I can give you 4.5 or 5, which is in Canada equivalent to 7.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to sell that for sure. I'm trying to think of players who make $4.5 million.
That's how it gets sold. That's all.
Yeah.
Listen, his time to move was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And he didn't when the Leafs were willing to give him Tavares' money.
So you think they have him
What a fascinating what if that is. If you had taken that.
over a barrel enough that he would take that low a number?
Well, what do you think would be fair for, he's going to finish with 35, 40 goals.
If I sort the NHL for guys making $5 million cap hits, I'm just going to read some forwards. I'm looking at Kevin LeBanc, Wenberg, Mason Marchment, Michael Bunting, Brandon Saad. Those are the guys. Hoffman, Dvorak.
At $5 million?
Yeah. I mean, 4.5 for the last couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets more than that.
You have to think.
I think they will hold that against him. If he wants to try to get market value for a 35 goal scorer of his stature, then he's going to have to go somewhere else. I don't think they'll give him that.
And I actually think that they may hold his feet to the fire a bit. I know that group, that ownership group, and the way that they want to be an analytically run, efficient organization. I think that they would go to him and say, here's what we can do. We would love to have you.
Yes.
And if it doesn't work for you, that's going to be your choice to leave.
And I think that's coming.
At some point, though, it's like he's Steven Stamkos. They're going to build a trophy
He's the
for him.
face.
Yeah.
No, statue.
But on the other
What did I
hand,
say? I meant to say statue. Did I say trophy? That doesn't make
they're going
sense.
to build him a big trophy.
And be like, here's
Huge
your trophy.
trophy.
Get the hell out of here. No.
Like, he's gone beyond that point. He is the number one face, and he can turn himself into a president there or a general manager.
Yeah.
He's got that status that he's going to retire there.
Yeah,
It's
he
over to
should
go
stay.
think you're going to go somewhere else so you can go get $8 million.
You're right. So maybe he does, I don't know, 3 times 5.5, 3 times 5, something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
I see your point.
make it work.
Yeah.
And that way you don't have to chase Kucherov out, Hedman out, Hagel out, Nicholas Paul out. Keep your guys together.
Yeah. It's really funny and borderline unfair when they go to the players and say, we spent all this money on guys and there's nothing left for you. But, if you want to leave, you can leave.
I mean, he's made $100 million in his career.
Yeah, he's fine.
I-
Easier to make that decision.
Would you, to me, it's impossible to picture him. Where would he go? I don't I'm
It
trying
is
to think
different.
of the team that he would go to that it would make sense.
It's different to me in that the
wanna
desire
come
to
to-
chase a cup is different because he's got a couple now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's much less of a obsession to I need to go
and
find one.
he wasn't obsessed to come back home to Toronto where he grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Leafs would probably have to give him $8 million or something to make to
Maybe
justify
he can
it.
be a new Thornton or Wayne Simmons, $750.
Come here
home.
for $750.
Yeah, come
Mark
home.
Giordano
Yeah.
contract.
Retirement?
Yeah.
He's not retiring. in Toronto.
No, he doesn't. I don't think he really likes
Wayne
these, really.
Simmons is retiring a Philadelphia Flyer.
Wayne Simmons, who we're going to try to talk to.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
try to
We'll
track
see.
him down.
So he will end his 15-year career by signing a one-day contract with the Philadelphia Flyers, which he's best remembered for, right? His 30-plus goal seasons, one of the better power forwards in the game as a Philadelphia Flyer. This guy was,
sorry, Kip.
it was the real deal.
Multiple 60-point seasons. There's a run of years in here where he scores 29, 28, 32, 31, and that's flanked by 24 on the other side. And, he had a lot of goals in Philly is the point. Not to mention, 106 PIMs, 147, 122. That's a career for this guy.
Huge Wayne Simmons fans. He played for the Attack. Loved him all the way through.
Played for the Attack.
He did.
Should have known.
He was a beast. I loved him from day one. I wish he was a Leaf earlier because it just when he got here, there was a moment at the start where it was really good. And then he broke his hand. Like he was playing with Matthews on the top power play unit. It was during that weird bubble year or whatever. I remember them specifically wearing those
he had a good start when he
those
came
gray
here too.
jerseys that they had, those weird Leafs gray, and he got a broken hand.
He did give him a little of that Luke Shen standing at the bench.
Yeah, he fought a couple guys.
Right? He went at it, I think, with Maroon there a couple times. And that sometimes it's all you need is just that visual of standing up to somebody that can give you some juice.
I remember years of watching Wayne Simmons in the NHL and being like, this guy, one of the league's heavies who has these great hands. And then I remember finding out he's 180 pounds soaking wet. It's just like, oh my God, like he's standing, like Maroon's 240 and Simmons fighting a guy like that, giving up 60 pounds.
It's wiry.
Yeah,
right?
Scrappy as hell.
I saw him play in a ball hockey tournament wearing shorts once. His legs are as skinny as mine.
Yeah.
Like he's got chicken legs. They're just like, and he played so hard in the NHL, fought. And he led the league in fights where I was like, oh God, you sure, Wayne? And then him winning. Like he just heart of a lion type of guy.
Scarborough represent.
Love him.
Good career.
One of my all-time favorite players.
You want to reiterate what you said before we went to break on Arizona again? Because I'm not sure if we covered it sufficiently.
What did I say?
All right.
They might move. They might not. Breaking news.
What are we waiting for?
Arizona.
If they can secure land.
Yeah. Arizona has approved the sale of land where they want it for $68 million. It's been appraised at, but it's going to go to auction. It has to be advertised that there's going to be an auction for 10 weeks to try to attract as many bidders as possible. The Coyotes want that land, and they're going to bid on that land. And if they win that land, they might be able to keep the Coyotes and build a rink there and do the whole thing. But if they don't, then they're going to move to Salt Lake City. I just cut out all the where Elliott says well, here's the maybes, and I wonder if they're going to move to Salt Lake City if they don't win that auction.
How about we just skip the auction?
Sure.
Screw the auction. I don't need any auction. I don't need any more.
There are groups that want to keep it in Arizona.
Yeah.
So ownership, just sell it and keep it in Arizona.
Yes.
And so, to your point from previous conversations, play where the Suns play until you can build a rink.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that simple.
Is it that simple?
I don't know. He's got to sell the team, though.
Mm-hmm. But it doesn't sound like they want to sell the team.
Doesn't sound like he wants to sell.
What a disaster. If I got to hear about one more bid or counsel me, just move him somewhere.
We've been talking about
Bye, Felicia.
Arizona state politics for
oh my
years.
God. I remember that whole where they had that woman who came in and was like, you can't take away our team. She was crushing the judge.
Okay.
It was what are we doing here?
Freed says, I've been told multiple times this week, do not underestimate Arizona's ownership's willingness to do this and to prove that it can do this. At what point does the league say, we don't care if you can, we don't want you to? It's not that it can't work, you can't work.
22 years, 25 years, 30 years?
Ultimately,
I don't know.
This comes down to Gary admitting he was wrong about a market.
See, I disagree with you.
What?
No, I think there's a market there.
Yeah, but
there is a market there.
This
It's
is
just
your
never had.
take.
It's never had
No, it's not.
great ownership.
Yes, it is.
Have you been listening to him?
It's never had great
For
ownership.
years.
It's a sports market.
Okay.
I feel like it is.
It's golf market. They like golf there.
So what?
Transient,
They like gambling in
seasonal.
Vegas. You're the same guy that said it would never work in Vegas.
Who did? Who said that?
You did. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I go there to gamble. I don't go there to watch hockey.
Yeah,
The locals do.
apparently.
It's like top 5.
What's that, Vegas?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I can see the argument that there is a market there. It has never been in the right place. Yeah, a lot of
So it's
mistakes have been
resort.
made.
You'll. It's a destination to go to resorts. Yeah. You can go golf. You can go to the spa, and you can go to hockey. No different than you can go to MGM and gamble and catch a show and go to a hockey game.
Sure. It just hasn't been that and doesn't have a future of being that for 4 years. So it's really tough as a hockey fan to care about municipal politics in Tempe or Chandler or wherever in Arizona they want to be anymore. We just want them to do hockey. And if not, go somewhere where they do hockey. Ryan Johnson, here's your team.
Yeah. I mean, what would you put the chances at the Coyotes starting next season in Arizona?
48%.
Kyper?
Yeah.
That low?
No.
For you?
50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a chance they stay, but
you-
not in that building.
You heard it here first. They're gone.
They're gone.
They're gone.
Sam McKee calls the election.
Yeah. They're going to do, what are they doing? They're bidding or going to an auction or going to council. They're going to
The thing
lose.
is,
They're
here-
done.
Who could they be bidding? How many people are bidding for $70 million pieces of
Guess what
land?
they should put on that place? Another golf course. Because that's what people care about. Screw a rink. Put a golf course in Arizona. Not the Coyotes. Sorry to their 10 fans who probably listen. God, I'm sick of this.
They're coming for you.
That's fine.
You messed up.
Lindgren hurt again. This guy with the New York Rangers,
Yeah.
I love him. He plays hard,
But he gets pasted
but
every other night.
is hurt all the time, it seems. Now
He
with the
gets
leg injury.
smoked a lot.
Yeah, we the other day we were talking about players who get hit most in the league. I actually got a text from Valley about this, who was listening, and hits taken. He was, I'll just see if I can pull it up quick. Yeah, he's a top 15 guy. He gets hit a lot. You know, that's just one of those. Oh, actually, he gets 113 hits he's taken this season. It's actually 30th. So
Were you guys with Alexei Lafreniere?
I want.
Did you see his goal?
I didn't see his
Oh,
goal, but
gosh.
I do want him on my team. I really like the
Like
player.
he's I mean, he's 25 goal scorer now.
I want him on my team.
But can he?
Before
I don't know if he'll hit superstar status, but he's a very skilled guy, and
he's
you're starting
big,
to
he's
really see it.
competitive, and if he's going to score you 25 or 30, he's a legit guy now. He's all the way there for me.
Patience pays off because I think there was a moment there where
They're ready
like,
to sell, right?
they're ready to. I remember him being in trade rumors big time.
But going into this season, talking to a guy like Valley, it was like, I don't know, but he seems to have found it. So
Kakko, the same thing, just starting to come around a little bit, comes off the wall, fires one in the net, and you're like,
it's crazy.
they thought he was going to be almost like Dogger-like
I know.
when they drafted him.
Yager.
Well, just big body, protect the puck. Like, Yager's Yager, one of the best in the history of the game, but he could be that type of big-bodied guy.
The Rangers have a chance at the President's Trophy. They're one of the front runners here, which is weird because don't talk about them like that. We don't.
Goaltending from here on in, boys.
Just like the Leafs who have Samsonov and Wall, equally good.
Same guy.
Same guy.
All right, just like that, 2 hours gone. Our thanks to Sean Reynolds, who's basking in the sun
Put
in
that
Florida.
SPF on.
And we're back tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on Real Kyper and Bourne.